Seeking a Thread, here with you today on a Friday afternoon here as I record this. Getting over being sick, actually. And thinking about this topic on my own for a little while. I obviously love the music of Syd Barrett, especially his work in Pink Floyd and his solo albums. Obviously there's not that much. And I thought it'd be cool to sort of compile a small list of bands in modern history, or recent modern history, that wonderfully channel the weirdness, the acid-drenched sort of guitar, and just specifically the overall feel of what Syd Barrett was doing. Kind of if you were able to transplant Syd Barrett in 1966, 1967 to modern day times now, this is the stuff he might make. So in a sense, if you're looking for more vintage era Syd Barrett sounds, but obviously you can't get that, this is a way to get that. And I have 6 records here from artists who I think perfectly encapsulate, perfectly channel the magic and fried beauty of Syd Barrett. And some of these artists you may know, some you may not. This is my 2 cents. The first one is White Fence. This is the first album by White Fence from 2010 on Make a Mess Records. It's Tim Presley, who's been in all kinds of bands. The Strange Boys, he had some time in The Fall. He's done stuff with Ty Segall. And mainly this White Fence project. Now, I don't think this project is currently going. I've talked a little bit about White Fence, but this is his first record from, like I said, 2010. He's recorded for Drag City, Woodcyst. And you could really go with any of the records, really. But I'll go with this first one. It's got that, it's more of on the punk edge, I'd say. But the guitar sound, his vocals, all of it just really drives home, really just channels Syd. Like the imagery too. I believe he does all the art. Very talented. I don't know what he's a little bit inactive these days. I'm not totally sure what's happening with Tim Presley, but he's around. And I've never seen him perform, but I've always wanted to. Anyway, White Fence. There's like 10 White Fence records. I do have them all. I really am a fan of this record and this band. Like I said, you could pick any of them. The one on Drag City is there's a couple on Drag City. Those are probably the easiest to get. I think it's For the Recently Found Innocent is a good one. But this is just self-titled. If I can, I'll put in tracks here, maybe if I have time. The Love Between and Mr. Adams. Great stuff. I mean, it's so good. It just hits that note. That's one. Second one. This one may be just as much as the White Fence. This might be the greatest example of it, maybe even the best. And this is another obscure songwriter called Morgan Delt. I don't believe has done much else. This is his first album for Trouble in Mind. He did follow this up on Sub Pop in 2016, but that's the last I've heard of it. I can't really speak for that record. This one is from 2014, and this one is a killer. It's so good. No insert or anything. Everything just says produced by Morgan Delt, mastered by Mikey Young, big name in Australian. I don't think he's Australian, but it says here, critically acclaimed debut album from this California studio wizard, a brain-bending, mind-melting, modern psychedelic classic. Just acid-fried, this whole thing. But catchy pop songs, which is kind of why I think this is important, same with the White Fence. Syd Barrett could write pop songs. That's what he was technically doing in 1966-67. This record by Morgan Delt. Now, I think like the White Fence, I think that's gettable. This one might be a little harder to get. It's definitely out of print. I checked the Trouble in Mind website. It's not currently available. There's a colored edition. This is the black edition. This is the black vinyl, which I think is a little bit easier to get, but I think people are starting to wake up to this guy. And if you can get one right now, I think it's going to cost you 30 or 40 bucks, but I highly recommend it if you need that Syd Barrett sound. And I don't think this guy's making any more records. I can't speak for the Sub Pop one. I don't even think I've heard that, but this is the self-titled one on Trouble in Mind. This is the one I definitely recommend to get those Syd Barrett sounds. This next one, most of you will know this band. Doesn't get talked about a ton in the VC, but it's the Cleaners from Venus. Now, Cleaners from Venus is Martin Newell, who released tapes, almost specifically and only tapes in the early 80s UK, very much a part of that DIY underground, doing tapes, post-punk, but this was really more psychedelic pop, as we're talking about here. And yeah, these were issued on vinyl for the first time over the last 10 years by Captured Tracks. There's like a few box sets, I think. I didn't tell you the title. This is On Any Normal Monday, 1982. I think it's was originally his second or third cassette tape release. This talks a little bit about him here on the insert. But this one's going to be a little more sort of hazy. It's a little less about guitar, like fried guitar sound, and more just sort of like, it's a little new wavy, a little. I wouldn't call it post-punk, but more on the sound of, like I said, new wave. Robin Hitchcock and the Soft Boys come to mind. They're not in this list. They could easily be a part of that. I know Robin Hitchcock is a big follower of Syd Barrett. Did not include them here, but if you like the Soft Boys, I think Cleaners from Venus, you'll certainly dig. Lo-fi pop aesthetic, first embraced 3 decades ago. Completely remastered on vinyl for the first time ever. Yeah, this was in 2012, and this is still in print. You can get this. It's the first vinyl edition. Only one pressing of this. They still have them. Either they have repressed it and they just have that many, or I'm sorry, either they've repressed it or they've just made that many in 2012 and they still have them. On Any Normal Monday, Cleaners from Venus, Martin Newell. Maybe we'll talk more about him in another time, but the tapes are pretty rare to get. If you collect original tapes, not many of us do, right? But, you know, if you feel like it. Anyway.
It seems I've got too much blood in my alcohol stream. Every morning I've lost pounds. The weighing machine will talk to me. The radio don't make a sound. It's been like this since you left town. Got night starvation. I'm feeling just like a refugee. Got night starvation.
This next one would be the hardest one to get, and I don't necessarily think you need to. Well, maybe you do, but you can get other records by this band and be somewhat there. This is John Dwyer and Bridget Dawson, known as OCS. Yes, this would become essentially OCs, or the OCs. OC, all of the different variations. This is the early things he was doing on the side. Just OCS. Now, some of this was CD, some of it was limited press vinyl. I have everything that's vinyl related that I've all gotten to be very expensive, of course. But this is called Get Stoved, otherwise known as Volume 4. I think it's on the KimoSciotic label, and you'll see what this goes for. This has gotten crazy because of the way the OCs have blown up. But here's the insert. But it's all of this. This is what we're listening to. This sort of like, whoa, that's not safe for work territory on the back there. But it's all of this sort of like lo-fi aesthetic, sort of like, this maybe would appeal to like those who like the Syd Barrett solo albums. This is more weirdo folk music, I guess you'd call it. Yeah, Get Stoved, OCS. I think this is, I don't have the year in front of me. It's got to be 2005 or 6. All tracks written and recorded by OCS, except, they usually do covers. Oh yeah, They do a Donovan cover on here, and a cover by Elizabeth Cotton as well. Patrick Mullins also contributes. I think this is Bridget Dawson on here. She does some of the stuff on some of the tracks. Maybe it's just with Patrick Mullins. Yeah, this is just John Dwyer and Patrick Mullins. Bridget Dawson was in the OCs and has worked with him on some other OCS records, but this one is just Patrick Mullins playing all drums, electronics, bells, and some singing. Otherwise, it's John Dwyer, who's the main player in the OCs, doing most of the singing. What sounds like a second voice, almost a female vocal, that's John Dwyer. So, there's that other side. Anyway, Get Stoved. Certainly following in the Syd Barrett aesthetic. A couple more. Another lo-fi home recording project. This one's French. From a guy named Gregory Ramo. Well, Gregory Ramo. Gur, just known as Gur. Otherwise, the initials or the first two letters of Gregory. This is called A Reverse Age on the Mexican Summer label. This should be dirt cheap. Should be $10 or less. The cover gives you a good idea of what you're getting here. Sort of more sinister, a little darker, but again in those guitar tones, those sort of like the way the tape sort of decays, you're really hearing like they're really, and that's the other thing I didn't really mention with all these records. They're capturing the sound of 60s production today, and that's kind of the key thing. The fact that they can capture that sound with modern techniques, specifically with that Morgan Delt record on Trouble in Mind. But anyway, Gur, Reverse Age. There's a little bit of a Wipers thing on this one, I like to think. But primarily, it's the sound of early Floyd. Now, there are other records by this guy. I don't have any of them. I haven't really even researched them or checked them out. No insert in this. I've just sort of always dug this record. It's an early Mexican Summer release. This is numbered 2, 2012. They made 750 of these, but like I said, this is not hard to get. No one seemingly cares, but you should. Great one. And the last one, this is a side project of Duster, Clay Parton. Now the guys in Duster have done various things. This is the only record by a group named Eiafuawn, and that stands for Everything is All Fucked Up and Whatnot. Yes, Everything is All Fucked Up and Whatnot. Birds in the Ground. This is the original pressing from 2006. Numero Group actually did reissue this, as they have done with most Duster-related and Duster projects, just because they've been so successful. And this, was an inexpensive record, but, a lot of times this is a case where the reissue illuminates people and then they want to go find the original pressing. So now this one's hard to find. But you can get the Numero Group reissue, which has a different artwork, different cover. And this is great. Yeah, it has the Duster sort of space lo-fi aesthetic, but a little bit more dark and fried. I keep using that word fried. That's what we're getting into here today. Really fun one. Everything is All Fucked Up and Whatnot. Eiafuawn, Birds in the Ground. Great one. Really good. Again, capturing... This one may not completely bring home the ideas of Syd Barrett, but you're gonna get it in the overall sort of haziness and weirdness and songs with some hooks. So
Circuits built like a beast. You're easy to rob, not easy to please. Hints behind the scenes. Thousand rhythms breaking us up. Here and wait, it's never enough. Ain't you?
there it is. That's what I got. Short video. something I've been thinking about for a while, wanting to sort of tie together and bring up, because I just think Syd Barrett, he's such a legend, really, and there's such little music to go on, and there's always been dreams that there'd be some lost Syd Barrett session, which apparently there are some Syd recordings from after the solo albums that never would see the light of day. I don't think they're very, like, from what I understand, if that's true, they're not even worth hearing, but of course, who wouldn't want to hear it? That sounds more likely to me, that he was just too far gone to make anything even decent. So here's a way to get more Syd Barrett and channel Syd Barrett, because we want more. So that's what I got for you. If you like Syd Barrett, get these. Take care.